tasselites. This is my first video showing the work, handmade work that I do. Um, I have gotten into making hair veils, birdcage veils, Bandeau veils, blusher veils, fascinators, um, and I'll post some pictures of my work. And it's just so relaxing to me. It's no limit. I also do hair tie bracelets. So, what I'm going to do in a series of videos is just show you how I do these things. I am not professionally trained in any of it. I'm not a professionally trained seamstress, milliner, hat maker, none of it. Um, I know how to sew a button. If you can sew a button onto anything, you can pretty much do this. It's relaxing for me. It helps calm me at night. It's really great. It beats watching the evening news. um, so let's get into it. We are going to make today a blushing pink bandeau veil. I'm also going to put some nice pink flowers on. This is my kitchen table that I've converted, so I'm going over here, picking up these. Yes. So I got these blushing pink flowers to put on them. Later, I'll hand stitch them on, but I'm going to make the veil first. I'm going to put it on a mannequin head and then decide how I want the flowers to lay. I have combs that I make for these because we have to attach the veil to a comb or hairpin or bobby pin. And with the combs, you just can't attach it, just can't put thread around the metal. You need something that's really going to catch your thread and hold it taut. And these are about 1 inch. The combs are 1 inch in width, 2 inches in length. Did you know that we have a ruler naturally on our finger? The first line in your finger is 1 inch. Second line is 2 inches, and so forth. You can measure exactly, look at this, from line to line, right? That first line, look at that. That is exactly 1 inch. I go to the second line, that's exactly 2 inches. So if you don't have a ruler, you only need a couple of inches. Your fingers or your rulers, each notch, each line in your finger is 1 inch. So these combs are really just 1 by 2 inches. You can get them in any color, gold, black, silver. I have it in metal. All right, this material I've pre-cut already on my cutting board. I use it almost looks like a pizza cutter. It gives you a nice straight line. I would use something to hold your fabric down before cutting it, just so that you make a nice straight line and it doesn't zigzag on you. I have already threaded up my needle using invisible thread. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to put camera more on what I'm doing. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm pretty much going to gather and fold. You hear my dog in the background. He's my home security system. All right. And just be consistent with it. Once you start gathering, just make sure everything matches up, meets up. And I really don't count the folds. It's just how big or how small you make your folds. But you see you have a nice gather there. If I was to hold it up, I should see natural pleats a little bit. You see how that goes there? That's going to look really like a nice soft gathering of material. And then what I do is I pretty much am going to take my invisible threaded needle and just pretty much put my glasses on here, because with invisible thread, boy, you can lose sight of what you're doing with this light material. And basically come in and out. Again, if you can sew on a button, I promise you can do this too. You just basically going in one side, out the other, and just repeat it. You're going in a nice straight line with the invisible thread. You really won't see the line too much because it really just kind of melts into the material. What do you guys like to do to calm you in the evening? Is it a glass of wine? You know what I like to, what I also enjoy watching if I'm watching something? I hope I'm saying it right, but you know how for the horses, when they get their horseshoes professionally changed, upgraded, or removed, or just to watch those guys do that on the horse. They'll show the horse's, is it hoofs? Oh my goodness, it's so relaxing. You know, I find I live close to a city. I work in a city. I live in the suburbs, but I work in a city, and I have to commute. And I just find that, during the week, there's so many, traffic itself is a stressor, it can be. So it's good to come home and have a good meal and just, talk to a family member, talk to a friend, and then just pull out some material and just start to wind down. So bringing it closer, I really just sewed a line there. Now I did it twice. So I think twice is good enough for this weight of material. Now I'm basically going to tie a knot and cut this material. So I usually like to do it 3 times. Yeah, there we go. This is the 3rd. Okay. Alright, so now I'm just gonna cut. What happened to my scissor? You know what? That scissor was black. It was probably a bad idea. Alright, here we go. Alright, what I like to do as well is I like to check to make sure this doesn't unravel. So once you tie it together, just try to separate it, make sure nothing separates here. Okay? Clean it up as nicely if you see any of the invisible thread. Make sure you don't. Okay, so nothing is really unraveling here. If it did, I would just go back in and get that there. Okay, so we have one end. Now we're going to do the other end. Gather and fold. Make sure it's nice and neat when you gather and fold. Yeah. Look at that. So before I sew, I just make sure that from side to side it has a nice flow. Make sure this looks nice, has those nice soft pleats, and I am ready to now sew it together with my invisible thread. Yes. We're just coming in and out, in and out. There we go. And you know, during my background story is during the pandemic 3 years ago now, I started making, when the CDC was like, we should make our own masks, leave the commercial masks for the hospitals. And I did, and that's when I first realized, I was like, wow, you know, I'm not a designer, but somehow I'm putting material together, creating a look, and I started making fancy masks. I would make masks that had all kind of designs in them and sparkles to them, and I just felt like a little mini designer. And I feel the same way with the veils. It's miniature. It gives me satisfaction because it's something that I can complete in less than an hour. So I have sewn it, the line back and forth both ways, and now I'm going to thread in my knot. So it gives me so much satisfaction because I can see the completed job rather quickly. And it's just so elegant. You know, I love a good veil. They're classic. You know, veils are classic. I feel like almost, if you pay attention, almost any red carpet, you're going to see somebody wearing some form of veil. It just never goes out of style. Most recently, was it the Met Gala? I believe it was Tiana Taylor. They were doing a tribute to a designer, and she wore a simple, it looked like a French netted black veil, and it was just so elegant with her outfit. I think was it Karl Lagerfeld? That they were honoring. Please tell me in the comments who the designer was they were honoring at the 2023 Met Gala, where Tiana Taylor was wearing that black French veil. Okay, so now we're ready to tie this. What we're gonna do next, look at that there. You see how nicely it sits up by itself. Look at that. That is perfect. You know, that's really creating nice consistent ends, and it's also the material. Material is really nice. It's not too stiff, not too soft. It's just perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to attach this comb to each end. And how do I get the material around the comb? Well, I pre-cut just a very thin sliver of material. Let me put this here. Find the front of the comb that bends more. So this is the front of the comb. And basically I just count. I start it, just put it on one end open, and I just start to count. So I'm going to do 4 times in between each teeth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I'm not going to tie together right here. I'm going to go back once on each section. So it's going to be a total of 5. So just once, coming back the opposite direction now. Once through each tooth. Okay, now I have material on both sides. I'm going to turn it over, and this is where I'm going to create my knot. Tie it nice and tight. Okay, first knot. Now we're going to tie the second knot. I think 2 knots is fine with this material. It will definitely hold. And now I'm going to cut just underneath the knot. Okay, so there we go. We are ready to use these combs to attach it to each side. I'm using a curved needle for this, and the comb, you have to decide, well, how is it gonna face, right? So if this is facing out, combs have to face in. They can't face out, right? They have to face in. So I'm going to make sure when I sew this comb onto the veil that my comb stays positioned this way. You just conform, let's see. Comb, let's see, yeah. So really I'm folding the end here, that tip, putting it just underneath the material. Blends nicely because it's all the same color. And we're really just gonna fold that little knot there underneath. Make sure to work your material around it. I have sewn too much material around it, and then it just doesn't flow. So I'm going to come through the material here. Once I come through, I'm gonna make sure I grab some of that material there. So now I have material from the comb and I have material from the veil. see? And now I'm gonna go back in, just bunch up the material a little bit. Yeah. Move that finger, make sure I don't catch myself. I can't tell you how many times I've caught myself. That's how you know the amateurs from the pros. The amateurs make much more noises. We're like, ow! Amateur, the sound of an amateur sewing, attempting to sew. So now you go through the back here. Yes. I have to make sure. Yes, I always make sure, even if I have to pull this out to see, make sure I have some material from the comb that connects with the veil. And I would say I will do this twice too. Once going to the left and then come back around and go back to the right. Just like what I did when I was sewing the ends of my veil. Yep, I got that. So I can let go and look at that. It's already connected and I've only done, almost done with this side. We have one more hole punch to make here. Yes, there we go. You see? So that holds up fine going one way, but you know what? We want to make quality material, so we're going to reinforce it by going back the other direction now. Let's see. I'll tell you, this invisible thread, woo, tricky sometimes. It's just, it is thinner than dental floss, let me tell you. So if you have to anchor a portion of it down, portion of your thread down, please do so. Because it also kind of wrinkles up very quickly. It doesn't, it's not a heavy thread, it's a very light thread. So it kind of acts jumpy and wibbly wobbly. So you have to kind of anchor as you go. Okay. Okay, it's coming along. It's coming along. Yes, I have one more, and then we're going to tie a three knots in the back. There we go. All right, let's anchor this baby with our knotting system. 1, 2, and one more makes 3. Let's go for it, guys. Yes, we did it. Look at that. And did I lose my my black scissor again? Black on black. Whose idea was this? Okay, I found it. Hold on. Let's grab it here. Okay. And then we're going to cut this close, right above the knot. If there's anything hanging, you see how that little piece is hanging there? I'm just gonna cut it. Make it neater. Okay. Let's make it nice and neat. Be careful, this is tulle material. So, all right, look at that, guys. Look how soft and delicate that is. I love it. It's coming along great. All right, I'm gonna do the other side and come back. It will be on the mannequin when I come back, mannequin head, and then we'll decide where we want to place the flowers, okay? All right, so we're back, guys, and she is looking really nice and professional, right? You wouldn't think someone who just knows how to sew buttons could make such a nice creation, and guess what? So will you. If you just do reinforced sewing, you know, and that's what quality material is. It's just reinforcement. It's not flimsy. It doesn't easily come apart, and this will not either. Okay, so what I did, she doesn't have hair, of course, but I just used some tape to hold the combs in place. And I'm glad I put the veil on the mannequin head before sewing them on, because this is what I've learned by doing that, is that I don't want to put the roses on top of the pleat because it changes the way it looks on the head. Instead, I want to put the roses in between the pleats so that it stays soft and flows and it doesn't change the form of the veil. So I'm just going to take this down, because if I didn't have that visualization, I could have easily sewed on top of those pleats, and then I would have went putting it on the mannequin head saying, why does this not flow? So what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna make sure I can see the pleat, stretch it out a bit, let the natural flow of the pleat happen. And then my first rose, blush rose, is gonna go in between a pleat. You see that opening there? I'm just gonna make sure I sew it in between. I have a total of 5 roses. I plan on doing 2 on one side and 3 on the other. Yeah. So I've decided to do the roses higher up on the pleats instead of lower down, because I just want to make sure you can see it. So now I'm flipping over the veil with my rose on the other side. Let me make sure I'm in between my pleat. Let me do this again. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be my first rose. And basically we're gonna, and this I don't want to tie and gather material too tightly because I don't want to mess up the flow of how my veil falls on the face. So something else, another little tidbit about me is that Uh, I'm a hairstylist. Yeah, I've been doing hair for 21 years now. Absolutely love it. That's what calms me during the day, and this is what calms me at night. I basically love enhancing people's beauty. Yeah. I love seeing the smiles on their faces you know, when I bring out what's already there. A lot of times my clients will say, "Thanks for making me beautiful." I'm like, "Honey, if you only realize you are beautiful, I just enhance what you already had, you know?" So I consider it a blessing to be able to do that. All right, I'm going to take a look at it again. There we go, in between our pleat. This I'm not going to really sew too much, too tightly. I'm going to create a knot here. I've really only brought my needle through it twice, and now I'm just creating a knot to make sure. And actually, I think I only want to do one knot, and then I'm going to just sew. I'm sorry, not sew, just tie the ends in a knot. So bring that up. I'm gonna tie this in a knot before we put it aside. Okay, I'm gonna just put that aside for now. And then I'm going to take these two pieces and just tie them manually. I think it creates less pull on this material if I tie this manually. And I'm into threes, right? The sailors are too when they tie their ropes. 3 knots is the strongest. Okay. Now, be very careful. Yeah. Okay, so our first one is on. There we go. And I like that it moves a little. Yeah. That also adds a little softness. Now our second rose, I'm not going to put it just side by side. We want to create a little asymmetry. I just want to make sure my pleats pull it out so that, yeah, there goes a middle, there goes another pleat. So I'm going to do it on the inside here of my pleat. I'm just going to come a little further up. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's one in the middle between them. Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to grab our second needle. Again, I'm using invisible thread. I'm going to flip it and just start to sew. Let me just make sure it's not side by side. It looks like it a little bit, right? Okay. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Flip it. Get that first knot in there. And I had to puncture that rose a little bit, just at the top there. Now I'm coming back, puncturing the bud area. But not going too deep in the flower. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at that. See? This material, boy. Make sure it, yeah, I gotta make sure it behaves. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, okay, I see. The knot's in, but that's just how much is outside of the knot. Let me cut this down. Huh. Still trying to figure out what's going on. That's my knot, right? Let's see. Yeah. Is this all on the other side of my knot? I think so. Let's find out. I'll cut that short. Okay, I think that's it. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna do one more. Anchor that thread because it curls up on you. Okay, that's gonna be it. And now I'm just gonna tie, cut this pretty tall, yep, and just tie this together. Create how many knots? That's right, three knots to secure it. The last thing I want is for any of these beauties to fall off, so we're going to secure it so that does not happen. 2, one more makes 3. If my nails look a little orange yellow, I did a red. I had a client who wanted a reddish violet color, and it's, my hands tend to stay a little red when that happens. So I'm just going to simulate this on her head. Make sure my roses are, once they're on the head, okay, look at that. Okay, that one is probably, can you see that there? I almost feel like I need a third one, right? Just to make this symmetry. And looking head on, yeah, I need to, let me put this up again so I can see better. It really is gonna help putting this on a, when you're adding, I usually don't have to do this if I'm not adding anything onto the veil. But if I'm putting something, an applique or something onto the veil, I like to see what I'm doing. Plan your work, work your plan. That's what we learn before we style hair. You have to know what's happening, know the style that's working. Yeah, that could work, but I also feel like And you know what, guys? You know what I'm deciding? Because these roses are so big, bigger than anticipated, and they come out, they're not flat. You know what I'm thinking? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I'm thinking I only do this on one side. I think one side will be enough, right? It's like having that one rose on one side of the head, not too much. I'm still kind of working with these pleats here. Yeah, there's one that needs to be in between the two of those, and between the two of these. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. Less is gonna be more here. At first I thought, oh, let's do some on each side. Yeah, no. I'm only going to do one side. I'm gonna remove this tape. Find my pleats. I now know I need, yeah, okay. So I'm still working on the inside of the pleat. Yeah. So it's gonna go here. Yeah. I think that's gonna be the third one. Okay. So let's turn it over. See what we got. Yes. Okay. It's almost like they're in a diagonal. All right. Just going over the surface of this here. Did I do that right? I think so. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Be careful instead of pushing a needle towards my finger. I'm about to sound real amateur in a minute. Oh boy. Okay. Anchor this thread. Smooth down my material. Control my material here. Don't let it control me. Okay. Just going over. There we go. Just digging into the flower here, trying to get some. Trying to find my anchor. I think that's fine. All right, let me make a knot. Yeah. This is our blush pink Bandeau veil. Blushing pink. Or should I say blushing rose? Blushing rose Bandeau veil. Blushing rose or blushing pink? I guess blushing rose almost sounds like it could be red, right? What if I said bashful pink instead of blushing pink? Bashful pink. Huh. Kind of like it. All right, I think I did enough here. I don't want to poke too many holes into this delicate material. Now we're going to tie 3 knots, put it on our mannequin head. Guys, I just thought of something. I feel like I want to add pearls to the comb. What do you think? Think we should add pearls to the comb? I'm feeling like, I don't know. I want another embellishment. I know sometimes less is more. Okay. All right, people. All right, we got our 3 roses diagonal. I'm ready to put her, calling my veil her. I'm ready to put her on the mannequin head and see how she does visually. Putting the tape in front of my comb before I put it on the mannequin head. Yeah. Use my fingers also to make these roses flourish. And then let's do the other side. All right, guys, I think I'm liking this. Yeah. And we know this is gonna look different on a person. This mannequin head is quite small, petite. Just make sure I get everything off of it. There we go. Okay. Yeah. What do you think, guys? She's definitely blushing. Definitely blushing. What do you think? Yeah. I'll leave the pearls alone. We won't add pearls. We'll keep it simple. And I know the tulle probably looks white, but I guarantee you, it's definitely blushing. It's the type of material, type of lightness that in the daylight you'll see at the side profile the hint of pink, and of course if you put it up against white material, it will also, you can see the difference between the two, and that it will also blush that way too. But yeah, I'm using my fingers just to fan out this rose. Yeah. And if you're gifting this to a friend, I would let them know that. Say, hey, if the roses ever get a little sleepy or they start to fold, close, just take your fingers, they're delicate, they're soft, and just kind of open them up, fan them open. Yeah. I'm happy with her. I really am. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Take care. Have fun.